Russian man like inside the dark, call me Bill Snatcher. Just the brother for the rapture. I hang live, holding on strong, hard to capture. Extravagant, resurrect the track and it's militant. And I react like a garden and start killing. It's manifesting. The God's work like appliances, dealing in my sight like a lot.
What's going on, guys? It's your boy Naruto Explain here, bringing you guys another discussion for Boruto Naruto Next Generations, Chapter 67. Now, today we're going to talk about the continued potential ramifications that have been produced as a byproduct of the events in the Boruto manga when it comes to Boruto and Kawaki's power-ups, to Code's plan to infiltrate Konoha to force Yamato to remove his limiters, and how Sasuke Uchiha falls neatly into this equation. Now, simply put, Sasuke is in a very dangerous place, and it's on a few different levels too, but how badly he's off is going to depend on which side of the argument you fall under. If you're like me and you think that there's a reasonable argument that Sasuke without the rinnegan is now stronger than Naruto without Kurama, Sage Mode or no Sage Mode included, if you're like the others and you think that Sasuke is weaker than Naruto, then you're going to be looking at the prior few chapters and say Sasuke is utterly screwed because Naruto, in the eyes of a lot of mistaken fans, came out of the last chapter looking very bad. Regardless as to which side you're on, Sasuke is cursed with a big problem going forward. We're seeing levels of power right now that are continuing to escalate to the point where Jigen is going to be surpassed in power pretty soon, which means that characters could start reaching Shiki Otsutsuki levels of power, if not outright surpassing Shiki. For someone like Sasuke, whose primary purpose as a shinobi is to be the pillar that supports the bridge to peace that the Hokage is trying to lead this new era across, this is actually something pretty troubling. For the last 16 years, under two separate Hokage, Kakashi and Naruto respectively, Sasuke's been able to wander through the shadows with confidence that any threat that's on Earth, he possessed the power to be able to dispose of it. There weren't any on Earth who possessed the power to stand up to him should he choose to fight on the behalf of Konoha. He was able to come and go between nations as he searched for intels, at times for his own personal redemption journey, and oftentimes as a way to keep the peace that was produced after the Fourth Great Ninja War ended. The only threats that Sasuke truly had to worry about were the threats that came from the Otsutsuki clan dimensions, and that was largely due to the unknown nature of the Otsutsuki at the time. However, despite that unknown potential, Sasuke continued to march forward because it was penance for his crimes that he committed in the past, and he knew it was necessary to protect the village. However, the loss of the rinnegan did more than just take away the ability to access those dimensions, but the loss of the rinnegan also removed a pretty substantial amount of power for Sasuke. Since that moment, we've had multiple threats pop up with combat power confirmed above Jigen or the potential to exceed Jigen in the case of Code once he gets his limiters taken off. As his own student, Boruto is now 100% Otsutsuki on genetic level, with potential that now is far greater than anything Sasuke could have ever anticipated when he was talking to Boruto saying, "I think that you're going to surpass Naruto." Kawaki, the young boy who is adopted by Naruto, who appears to be destined to be on a collision course towards the destruction of the village, is now wielding a very pesky dojutsu power that belonged to Shiki, the very same power that Naruto and Sasuke in their peaks absolutely struggled with. For a man who vowed to protect Konoha from the shadows, his ability to do so has gotten significantly harder, if not outright impossible. While fights in Naruto don't always come down to who has the bigger and flashier jutsu or who has the most chakra to amp up the physical stats or ninjutsu, in some cases the gaps in power are just too big for there to ever truly be a chance towards victory. This is what makes the events that are set up in the manga that much more troubling for Sasuke. The fact that we haven't seen him anywhere near the battlefield means that he's either been too far away from the battlefield, which would explain why Shikamaru stated that he needed to be the one to assist Naruto in the battle with Code because Sasuke wasn't in the village, or Sasuke has thought a few steps ahead and realized that all the claw marks set down near Konoha and throughout the Land of Fire were merely a distraction. And that's not something crazy to consider either. If Sasuke continually sees markers around the village that offer no strategic advantage despite Code's primary targets being inside of the village, someone as smart as Sasuke, who had his own dreams of destroying Konoha, is going to start putting 2 and 2 together. The plan was to never invade Konoha by appearing by any of those markers. Just as Pain diverted all the attention to the animal path who was thrown into the village and then launched a complicated attack plan to systematically take down the village while hunting down Naruto, Sasuke would have realized that Code had a bigger plan at play and likely could have considered that Code is merely placing those markers to distract from the fact that he's already placed the marker where he needs it. It will be a very simple divide and conquer tactic. Divert the attention of the enemy and keep them anticipating your own moves by forcing them to play with the cards that you've dealt, which is another law from the 48 Laws of Power, all while waiting for the perfect opportunity to play your own trap card. In Sasuke's mind, the process of elimination is going to be pretty straightforward. None of the Konoha shinobi have been encountered by Code, nor have they been marked by Code to their knowledge. Kawaki could have been marked, but given the circumstances under which Kawaki was brought to Konoha, complete with a full body examination to study the ninja tech in his body more than once, mind you, a claw mark would have been found at this point, which leaves only Amato. Now the dramatic irony in all of this is that we as the audience know that Amato hasn't been marked, because if he would have been, Code could have just simply yanked him through the claw marks at any given time. However, Sasuke doesn't know that. After seeing where the markers were placed, the thought to return to Konoha to watch over Amato would have crossed Sasuke's mind, because for him, it would have been the most likely option to do if he was the one carrying out the plan, because Sasuke knows Code's goal is ultimately to get Amato so he can get his limiters taken off. Now, for proof of how Sasuke would have came to this thought process, all we gotta do is just think back to the 5 Kage summit. Sasuke gets a lot of flack from fans who say that Sasuke is completely unhinged and he had no true plan, and that's absolutely the furthest thing from the truth. Obito and Zetsu purposely sabotaged Sasuke for Obito's own selfish reasons. Sasuke wasn't going there to kill and fight all of the Kages, their guards, and their samurai. Sasuke is not an idiot. Sasuke only had one true goal: Danzo. Nobody else was going to need to be hurt unless they stood between himself and Danzo, and Sasuke had a pretty well thought out plan in order to get to Danzo himself. Chakra suppression jutsu to mask their presence, Code and Uzuamki to track the movements of Danzo and the others, and then once Danzo was in a situation where he was alone or with as few people as possible around, Sasuke would have struck in that moment. Jugo and Suigetsu would have been enough to handle Fu and Torin. Code and Uzuamki would be able to give updates on the reinforcements if the battle attracted too much attention, and Sasuke in his mind would have dealt with Danzo, though Sasuke did not know Danzo had a Sharingan arm, nor did he know that Danzo could use the Izanagi. Though it's worth noting, if Sasuke would have caught Danzo before Izanagi was activated, he could have killed Danzo. Sure, the plan had some flaws due to lack of information. All plans do, but its initial plan was pretty well thought out. It was actually somewhat genius. It was only until Zetsu and Obito betrayed him that Sasuke had to choose violence. Now, when you think about it from that perspective, Sasuke is now 16 years older, which means he's 16 years wiser. He could have very well considered this possibility after gathering the data, or while he was gathering the data, which is consistent with Sasuke's character. He updates his stance as he gets new information. However, there within lies the problem. In fact, there within lies a couple of problems. Sasuke could have very well be watching Amato, thinking that Amato has claw marks, especially if the claw marks themselves don't give off a chakra signature for Sasuke's Sharingan to see. Then he won't see Code appearing out of Shikamaru or Kawaki until it's too late. Whether it be a full emergence or Code quickly snatches Amato through the claw marks before anyone can react, or worst case scenario, Code could merely manifest full body out of those claw marks and kill anyone in the area who tries to stop him from getting to Amato. If it comes down to a fight, Sasuke won't be plagued by the issues that Naruto was, where Naruto wasn't able to fight because he was worried about a hostage. Sasuke ain't worried about a hostage. You chose this ninja life, you live and die by this ninja life. It is what it is. And Sasuke won't be mentally nerfed like Naruto was, because Naruto saw Natsuki controlling his son and he couldn't bring himself to fight him. Sasuke would have free reign to fight if it came down to protecting Amato, but the problem comes down to, can Sasuke take on a white karma seal Code in a battle And then that's an answer that we don't know as the audience. But if Sasuke falls for the same ploy that Kawaki did, and Damon's brought to the battlefield via a surprise maneuver, Sasuke very well could fall in battle, and that's where the true curse of Sasuke Uchiha lies. He's got the mind to be able to see the enemy in terms of what they're planning. He's got the duty to try and stop the enemy from the shadows before they become a threat to Konoha, but he now lacks the power to do so. He's in the same situation where you have older professional athletes who find themselves towards the end of their careers, where their mind works faster than their body is able to react and keep up. Things they could have done a few years ago, they can't do it now because Father Time's caught up. In the case of Sasuke, it's less of Father Time. Sasuke is only 33 years old. Instead, with Sasuke, it's more so about the lack of power to stop the threat at hand, where strategy alone might not be enough to take down these foes. In fact, it's very likely that it's not enough to take down these foes, which is why he's now cursed to face these threats as the Shadow Hokage. However, I want to know from you guys, do you guys agree with me about Sasuke's predicament? Let me know down in the comment section below, but as always, guys, like anything I had to say, don't forget to comment, rate, subscribe, and share. Thank you so much for watching all the way to the end. Have an awesome day, guys.